Running basically because I grew up in my area. I grew up in the South End, born and raised my whole life, and basically I spent the last 4 decades hoping for some change for St. John, and then really have just never seen it happen. So I just thought I would maybe push it myself, maybe just try to get in there and maybe make the really final push that St. John really needs from its MLAs. Well, like I said, I've lived there my whole entire life. I grew up in the South End. I grew up through poverty. I made it out of it. I worked myself out of it, and I think I know what people who still live there are dealing with. They're dealing with poverty every day. They're dealing with homelessness. They're dealing with no job security, and I think I could maybe help them figure a way to get out of that. New Brunswick is one of the best places I've ever been. I've traveled a little bit. No, I'm not a world traveler or anything, but I've traveled to the U.S. and places like that. New Brunswick is one of the most friendly, inviting places you would ever want to go to. I find that the only problem is we seem to be fighting against each other rather than fighting with each other. And I would just like to help that go. Maybe be the middle ground for these groups that are always fighting with each other. Maybe make them understand that, maybe we can't give you all of this, but we can give you most of it if you give us some of this. I find that there's not enough give and take in our province at the moment, and I think I could provide that middle ground. Now, again, I worked myself through poverty. Our family was dealing with it when we were growing up, and then once I got out of high school, I dealt with it on a more personal level because I really didn't know what other options were out there. I didn't know that how much more of a benefit that education would give a person, and now that I do, after going to community college and then finishing my university degree, I realized how much more of a benefit that will be for the rest of my life. And I don't know if that anyone in our ridings, in the neighborhoods in our riding, still understand that. I think they're of the nature that okay, school is not for me. I'll just work through it. But they don't realize that in their lifetime, an education, like a formal education, almost doubles their lifetime earnings. So and that's what I think I could help with. Number one, obviously, would be poverty reduction because, like I said, that's what I've dealt with my whole life, and that's what I think the area needs the most. The St. John Harbour riding specifically has 5 of the poorest neighborhoods in New Brunswick, and generational poverty especially is tough to deal with. And I think that would be my main focus, would be trying to deal with that and trying to get people out of that. And obviously, second would be St. John development, like in the harbourfront development, anything that would bring development into our areas, new commercial development. Obviously, because that increases your tax base, and then that goes into the third item, which would be tax reform, either municipal tax reform, allowing municipalities like St. John to keep our tax base, to keep our industrial taxes that are paid in but sent to Fredericton, and then on the other option would be the property tax assessment issue that St. John seems to have over the other major cities in New Brunswick. For whatever reason, St. John seems to get a lower assessment on its more valuable properties than the other cities do. And then the final one would be obviously health and healthcare. I know that's a major topic for other areas. I think poverty and healthcare kind of go hand in hand. Once you're out of poverty, your need for healthcare decreases because you're just a healthier person. You're eating healthier. You're in better shape. That sort of thing. So you don't need to rely on the healthcare system as much. But obviously, our healthcare system has issues, And the main issue with our healthcare system is the inefficiencies at the administration level, stemming from the duality issue. So those would be my main focuses. Okay, now that is not something I'm overly familiar with, being a single male, but definitely I'm in favor of full support of whatever my constituencies would benefit from. I'm very open to having clinics that provide that service for healthcare and for mental health services. I think that's what we need more of in New Brunswick, is outside of the general hospital issue is more walk-in clinics, that provide that type of service. And I think that would benefit that community especially, as well as the poverty community. Again, that kind of falls under the first option, is obviously being in the St. John area, and our riding specifically have a much higher suicide rate, addiction rate, mental health issues than the rest of the province, because of the poverty issue and the urban nature of our area. So again, the walk-in clinics, the more clinics, obviously those clinics would have to have mental health services as well as physical services, like a general practitioner and things like that. And as well as there should be those within our school system. There should be mental health professionals involved there, all the way through, and not just at certain levels. Yeah, our party is already on record as wanting to ban that on Crown lands. We were able to work with the minority PCs in to get it reduced by 30%. But obviously, if we were elected, we would push for that to be eliminated completely. It falls under the poverty issue. Now, our issue is that we have a very transient base in the South End and in the other communities, where families are living in one building and rents go up, so they have to move into another one, so they have to, continuously, so that they don't have a sense of belonging to any one area. They're just always on the move. And with affordable housing, that would allow them to have a more permanent address and provide a more stable environment for children, and just a better state of mental health for the individuals who normally have to move every 3 or 4 months, sort of thing. So affordable housing would obviously be key, and for affordable housing, you kind of have to look at the double tax issue. The double tax issue is an investment killer. So if you don't have outside investment into these rental apartments, that basically takes away that. You get the rents become too high, whereas if you eliminated that double tax, the owners would be able to keep the rents as low as possible for the ones who can't afford the Germain Street condos and that sort of thing. Now, I'm not really up to date on the cost. I know our police force is I believe it's the only municipal police force in New Brunswick. I believe the other ones are all RCMP, and I have to look that up. But no, I'm for funding for the police department within the guidelines that they need it for. I'm not sure what I know as far as per capita basis, I believe St. John is pretty much in the middle. I'm not sure if we pay higher rates per capita or lower rates per capita, but I'm pretty sure we're in the middle of it. And I don't really know if that's an issue right now, but obviously it could be down the line. Again, that would be something I would have to look for more information on. 100%, I'd be in favor of whatever was the concern of the person who is making the complaint. It's one of those issues where the investigation should take place no matter who makes the complaint. As far as, because it's one of those issues where it's such a touchy subject. It's such a thing where we have to protect those individuals as much as possible and make sure that they have no fear to come forward, make sure that they have a safe place to go, make sure that that there's no repercussions on making a formal charge, and that sort of thing. And that's kind of where you need to be. And I don't think we're there yet, but I think we're on the right path for sure with the agencies that are working within our communities. Oh, that's a big one for me, being an accountant. I definitely think there is room for major improvement in both municipal, the way the municipal tax calculations are done. I think it hamstrings St. John specifically because of our large industrial tax base. I mean, we have more industrial property in St. John than the rest of New Brunswick combined. Yet we see no tax benefit from it. All that money goes to Fredericton, or at least a large portion of it. And if our party was elected or was in a power to make that happen, that is one of our main platform issues, is changing that specifically for the benefit of the municipalities that deal with the heavy industry. Now, again, it's been a long time since I used public transit, but I know there's a lot of issues with availability in certain areas, routes that were once very popular that are no longer in service because of cuts. And obviously, when there is federal money available for that the federal money, that obviously our province should have accepted that or been part of that. And when our leaders decide on their own that money is not necessary, I think that's a big issue for me. That if there's money available for one specific thing, and in our area it's definitely needed to either keep the cost of ridership low or to include those areas that didn't have service anymore. Again, that falls under the larger poverty issue. Childcare should be right up there with healthcare as a charter of right. I mean, for parents, especially working parents, it should be provided for. Now, I'm not sure what is offered now, being not having a child of my own. I know a lot of families do struggle with that, the high cost of private childcare. Now, I would hope that all governments, whoever gets elected, should be looking at providing that with no additional service under the Horizon Health Network or the Vitali Health Network. I think it should be one of those things that's included in our major health care. That's just what I think. That is another one that's for our party especially, where we get a lot of negative attention on the fact that everybody believes that we're a one-issue party, and it's very seldom ever communicated that no, that's not what we're looking at. Look at the rest of our ideas. I mean, the rest of our ideas fall right in line with what the other parties are offering, and even some of the stuff we're offering is much more in line with what New Brunswick needs, rather than what any kind of special interest group or any kind of big business needs. I mean, if you look at ours, it's more, this is a common sense approach. This is what New Brunswick needs versus what other people who are in charge of the various parties, the big business, the special interest groups, the lobbyists, things like that, what they want is different than what real New Brunswickers want. And I think we're more in line with what real New Brunswickers want when it comes to that. Oh, okay. No, well, I mean, as far as we all know, the ownership of the media is pretty much under one umbrella, and so therefore there's not always an open discussion on things. It's more of opinion-based media rather than a fact-based media. Now, I can't, obviously I'm new to this, so I don't know 100% sure on one way or the other how it falls, but from what the things I read, it feels more that there's a bigger slant towards certain issues that are important to those that own the media, rather than being a more open discussion across the public area, the way it should be, the way a newspaper and media should be.